If you have a few more minutes, I want to talk about President Biden's speech yesterday in Atlanta. And it was a speech on voting rights. And it's something that you and I have been talking about consistently. The problem with the filibuster, the problem with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema standing in the way, along with other Democrats, but particularly Republicans. The fact that on no issue whatsoever can Democrats find 10 Republicans to work with them in a bipartisan fashion. Not a single issue, let alone the critical issue of voting rights. President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both came to Atlanta, Georgia yesterday to speak on it. I want us to listen into the first clip of President Biden as he says, "There's one thing every senator and American should remember. History has never been kind to those who said that voter suppression over voter rights, and it would be less kind for those who side with election subversion." Let's take a listen into this first clip.
To those Republicans who believe in the rule of law, restore the bipartisan tradition of voting rights. The people who restored it, who abided by it in the past, were Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. They all supported the Voting Rights Act. Don't let the Republican Party morph into something else. There's one thing every senator, every American should remember. History has never been kind to those who've sided with voter suppression over voters' rights. And it'll even be less kind for those who side with election subversion. So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide, to defend our elections, to defend our democracy.
Now, Georgia, he went on to say the filibuster has been weaponized and abused in the United States Senate. It takes a supermajority, 60 votes, to even get a vote. And to be sure, that's not the case with every single vote, but it is particularly the case with the votes that matter the most to the people, as in voting rights. Let's take a listen.
Filibuster is not used by Republicans to bring the Senate together, but to pull it further apart. Filibuster is weaponized and abused. While the state legislative assaults on voting rights is simple, all you need in your House and Senate is a pure majority. In the United States Senate, it takes a supermajority, 60 votes, even to get a vote, instead of 50 to protect the right to vote. State legislators can pass anti-voting laws with simple majorities. If they can do that, then the United States Senate should be able to protect voting rights by a simple majority.
Now, I have a lot more, Georgia, but I want to get your thoughts so far. Cliff Albright, who's been on our show several times, he had a couple of choice words for the president, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just want to get your thoughts on voting rights and the president. They're turning their direction now from everything else they worked on, and they're going with a full court press on behalf of voting rights.
It's about time. I think that Black people, especially those of us who follow politics, have been calling for the Biden administration to take a stance on the filibuster, to do something about it. I remember very clearly a protest in D.C. where Reverend Al Sharpton called for this. You know, that Biden is going to have to denounce the filibuster and potentially move to a place of creating some legislation against it, because it has been very successful in suppressing the Black vote, among other things. And so it is a bit of relief, I think, to hear him make this declaration, to see him come to Atlanta, Georgia, however, and do it as opposed to D.C. makes me question his intent. You know, who are you speaking to? Now you're speaking to Atlanta, Georgia. You're speaking to the people who are affected by voter suppression, and you're giving this show and dance as though you're going to do something about it. You're speaking their language. You're speaking to them. You're saying the things that they want to hear. Are you trying to finesse the black vote? Or are you being genuine that you're going to take this same messaging and you're going to deliver it in DC, where the people who are able to utilize the filibuster can actually hear what you have to say? What are you going to do about it? Because at this point, talk is cheap. You're regurgitating everything that Black community leaders have been saying for the last year and a half. You're simply regurgitating it. All you have to do is do a quick Google search on Black voting rights. And I bet you'll hear 10 other prominent community leaders say this very same thing. So while it's a relief to hear him, singing this tune, it for me, I'm also skeptical because of who he chose to deliver this message to. This isn't an audience that can do anything about the filibuster, but to just simply have the record that the president has made a declaration against the filibuster, I think is significant. I hope it's a turning point. I hope that that in 2022 we see the Biden administration put a full court press on this issue, because if he doesn't start to lay that groundwork, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. In 2024, Trump will run again and he will win.
That's right.
Because the filibuster is not a, political idea or a political tool that helps politicians. It's a strategy that has been deployed to prevent and in some cases completely stop the advancement of our people. And if it's not addressed, if he doesn't start to do that work now in 2022, because it's going to take some time, because there's going to be resistance. If Biden doesn't take the time to do something about it now, we are going to be in serious trouble in 2024.
That's right.